Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. It's getting towards the end of June and my tropical trees have been outside on the benches for almost a month now. I've got the tropical trees in a shady spot over here as they get used to the bright outdoor sunlight. In this transition period, it's quite normal for leaves to get a little bit sunburnt and they change a darker color. The leaves on my bougainvillea have a yellow edge to them and they're a little bit dried at the tip. Some of my trees, like this Sarissa forest, have made the transition to full sun. My plant room is very crowded in the winter, and I had a lot of plants along the window on shelves, and it was blocking all the sunlight coming to the back of the room. So the plants near the back of the room had a very dark winter this year, and they didn't do very well. The trees that were growing under the artificial lights grew really well as they grew up towards the light, but the lower branches didn't grow very well at all. Many of the trees at the back of the plant room were hard to reach, and I knew they had scale insects on them, but I didn't realize how bad it was until I got them outside in spring. My Dwarf Schefflera has scale insects on it, so it needs cleaning up today in the bonsai zone. My Schefflera is growing in a 3D printed pot that was supplied by Spectra 3D, and it's standing up really well to all the temperature changes. It's been a year since I planted it in this pot now. The Schefflera has been growing really well in this 3D printed pot, but the plant was in a place where it was really hard to reach in the plant room, so I couldn't easily take care of the scale insects. When I got the tree outside in spring, I could see the scale insects in the sunlight, and I did spray them with soap and water, but they seem to have multiplied since then. Here's a close-up of some of the scale insects on the underside of the leaves, on the leaf stems and all underside the leaves. The Schefflera grew really well all winter, and the scale insects didn't show up until the last couple of weeks before I brought the tree outside. The tree is totally acclimatized to the outdoors now, and it's getting its first growth of the summer coming in. Because the tree was so vigorous over the winter, it grew long and leggy, so today I'm going to prune it back hard and then let it grow again over the summer. Pruning the tree back hard will get rid of a lot of my scale problems, so I'll be killing two birds with one stone. My first step will be to defoliate the entire tree. So here I go. I'll put the leaves I prune off in a plastic bag so it kills the scale insects. Into the plastic bag they go. I'll keep working away on the tree, removing all the leaves. I can see a lot of ants crawling around on the leaves and the branches. When you see ants on your trees, you know you either have aphids or scale. I'm cutting away the leaves fairly close to the branches because they have scale insects on the leaf petioles. So I'm removing both the leaf stem and the scale insects at the same time. I'm removing the last couple of leaves now, so here I go. And apart from new leaves, it's now defoliated. The tree is planted in a Vietnam style bonsai pot, and I want the styling of the tree to reflect that Vietnam flavor. Many of the Vietnamese bonsai have a lot of aerial roots, and they emphasize that. They have fairly tall trunks with a lot of aerial roots hanging down, and then a compact canopy that's usually either a rounded sort of umbrella form or more of a triangular Japanese style form. This tree does have a lot of aerial roots forming, which is good for this Vietnam style bonsai. For today's pruning, I'm going to keep all the branching that I have already, but just bring it all in and make it more compact. I will try and leave a rounded canopy on top. So I'll start at the top here, just reducing it back quite far to here. and here. 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 I'll come out front and have a look at it. I'm looking at the tree now, and I like the height of the tree. I liked it has a sort of a rounded canopy. I don't like these two branches here. They come out at the same point on the trunk. I don't like this front branch. It kind of crosses in front of the trunk. So I think I'll remove that branch entirely. So here I go. Just like that. I think that looks much better now. The next step will be to clean up the dead moss. The moss was growing really well over the winter until one hot, sunny, dry day. I didn't water it enough and it went all brown. It is starting to green up again. You can see a lot of green coming on the moss, but it's very thick, so I'm going to remove the moss and then start growing my moss layer all over again. I've got out my tweezers and I'll start picking away the moss from the surface of the soil. And the moss will just grow in by itself again. There'll be lots of spores on the surface of the soil and it'll just start to grow again. There's a lot of aerial roots growing through this moss that I may have to trim back. There's an aerial root here that's grown into the soil, and the end of it grew over the edge of the pot and it's died off, so I'll have to prune that back. So here I go. And I'll prune all these roots that are overhanging the edge of the pot back. They're all dead anyway. I've removed the moss from the surface of the soil. So the next step, I'm going to spray the tree with soap and water to get rid of any scale insects that may be crawling on the trunk. The mixture I'm using is 40 parts water to 1 part dish detergent. So I'll spray it all over the tree, wait a few minutes, and then rinse it off. So here I go. That should do it. It's been a few minutes, so now I'll rinse the tree, the soil, and the pot. The soil is still draining really well, so it shows the tree isn't root bound. And that should do it. My tropical trees can only stay outside for 4 months of the year here in Canada, so summer is a time to let the trees grow. So that's the next step for this tree. I pruned it back and now I'll let it grow. It won't get pruned again until fall, before I bring it back inside the house. It's time now for today's update. Today's update is my eastern white cedar, the clump style. I pruned it back fairly hard this spring, and now all the new growth is coming in. The clump was always very flat on the front face. There weren't many branches growing out towards the viewer, so I've been growing it on the bench, so this is the side that gets the most sunlight, so it's encouraging branching to grow in this direction to kind of fill out the front of the tree. Here's a look at the side view of the tree, and you can see there's not a lot of branches that come out this direction towards the front. So hopefully by the end of summer, I'll have a lot of branches growing out in this direction. That's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.